Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. I awoke the next morning feeling well rested. As I sat up and stretched, it took me a moment to remember where I was and who I was. I felt my chest lift as I arched my back, and my long hair fell into my face. Reaching up to move the black locks from my eyes, I noticed the flash of my red nails. As I threw the sheets back, they slid over my smooth, hairless legs as I started to get up. I adjusted my negligee straps so that the gown hung properly on my body, then reached for my red satin robe and tied it securely around my waist. Slipping my feet into my matching slippers, I heard voices in the other room. I left the bedroom and headed for the bathroom. After taking care of business and washing my hands, I glanced at myself in the mirror. My face was a little puffy from sleep, and while my hair was messy, I didn't notice any beard growth. It seemed like being Vicky in the morning wasn't going to be as difficult as I had imagined. I joined Lauren and Julia in the kitchen, sitting down and crossing my legs as I reached for a cup of coffee. After some casual conversation about the night, we began discussing the day's agenda. Lauren outlined the plans. Later today, a housekeeping service will come by to clean, so we won't have to worry about that. We do need to pick up some food and drinks for the party, though most of it's being delivered. I've already got the decorations, so we'll just need to put those up. It won't take long once we get started. Julia added, first, we need to get you dressed and ready for the day. We'll take some time this morning to teach you how to do your makeup and hair, so you can be more self-sufficient later. You and I will do most of the shopping and decorating, and then we'll get you ready for the party tonight. It's going to be a blast. With that, I was instructed to take a shower, shampoo, and condition my hair. The cap I wore wouldn't get wet, so I went ahead and showered, enjoying the sensation of my smooth skin. It was still a new experience to have long, thick hair that covered my eyes when I flung it forward, or hung down to my shoulder blades when tossed back. After finishing my shower, I towel dried off. Lauren had left 2 towels on the counter along with some lotion and a note. The instructions were simple: dry off with the large towel, apply the moisturizing lotion all over, shave my face, even though it didn't need it, brush my teeth, blot my hair dry, and wrap the towel around it. The smaller towel was for my body. Once I finished, I went to find Lauren and Julia. The towel around my body barely covered my chest and just reached my rear. The towel on my head made me look like a swami. I found them in Lauren's room, where they had me sit down to begin learning the art of makeup. Fortunately, your beard didn't grow overnight, so we can skip the beard cover, Lauren explained. First, you'll apply foundation to even out your skin tone and create a smooth base. I used the sponge Lauren handed me, applying the liquid foundation that matched my skin tone perfectly, giving my face a flawless appearance. Julia handed me a brush. Now, take the powder and brush it over your face. It'll absorb any excess foundation and reduce the shine. I followed her instructions, dusting the sweet-smelling powder over my nose, chin, and cheeks. Lauren smiled at me, complimenting my progress. You're doing great. Now for the blush, we want a more casual look today compared to what you wore yesterday. This will highlight your cheekbones and draw attention to your eyes. Sweep the powder up your cheekbones toward your eyes in even strokes. I followed her instructions, and the blush instantly gave my cheeks a natural glow. Next, we'll do your eyeshadow. Take the applicator and apply it to your eyelids. Use the darker shades at the base of your eyelid, and lighter shades near your eyebrow. Blend them together so it doesn't look like you have 3 separate layers. I carefully brushed the colors onto my lids, gradually creating a soft, blended look. This is part of the casual vibe for today, Julia said as I continued applying the eyeshadow to the other eye. Tonight, you'll go for a more dramatic look. Now for the eyeliner and mascara, Lauren instructed. Take the pencil and draw a line along your lids. Rest your elbow on the vanity top to keep your arm steady. I slowly drew the lines, focusing to avoid poking myself in the eye. Lauren handed me the mascara. Brush it upward and outward. This will give your lashes extra curl. Don't overdo it for now, just a little on the lower lashes to define them. Perfect. I looked in the mirror, noticing how much more polished my face looked. Here's the lip pencil. Start by outlining your lips, then apply the lipstick. I traced the pencil around my lips, giving them a soft rose-colored outline. The lipstick went on smoothly, and after blotting my lips, I admired my reflection with the turban on my head. I had done it. Vicky was fully alive and in full color. For your hair, Lauren continued, take the blow dryer and work it like this. When it's almost dry, use the brush to flip the ends. That'll give it the right effect. I turned on the dryer and worked on my hair, the air blowing everywhere. My arms grew tired from the effort, but with Lauren and Julia's help, I eventually finished styling my hair. Vicky was ready, makeup and hair all done. Lauren and Julia had been in and out, offering guidance, and now Lauren said, your clothes and accessories for today are in your room. Go ahead and get dressed. Be sure to transfer everything from yesterday's purse to today's purse. Women's purses have to match the outfit. We'll meet you in the living room. I headed back down the hall to the guest room, still wrapped in the towel. After making the bed, I noticed 2 boxes on the chair. I opened the first box and found my clothes for the day. I took off the towel and got dressed. I pulled on the white cotton panties, feeling them fit snugly across my thighs and hips. The high-cut leg openings made my legs look even longer. Next, I slipped the white bra over my arms and secured it, adjusting the straps to settle my chest comfortably in the cups. I picked up the white t-shirt and carefully pulled it over my head, making sure not to smudge my makeup or mess up my hair. The shirt fit snugly, stopping just above my panty line and hugging my chest. Next, I slipped into the blue denim shorts. They were short, though not quite Daisy Dukes, and fit tightly around my hips and rear as I fastened the button and zipped them up. For jewelry, I kept it simple with a silver chain around my neck, a casual watch on my left wrist, and a silver ring on my right hand. I reached under my hair to clip on the matching earrings. I sat down to open the showbox, revealing the sandals I'd be wearing today. They were brown leather with a 1-inch platform and a 4-inch wedge heel. I slid my toes into the straps, with my red toenails gleaming in the light. I glanced in the mirror and saw a confident, attractive woman ready to take on the day. Her outfit was casual yet stylish, her makeup elegant but not overdone. She radiated a fun, approachable energy. I took a moment to transfer my wallet, makeup, and hairbrush from yesterday's black purse to today's brown one. After a final glance at myself in the mirror, I touched up my hair and walked into the living room. The heels of my sandals clicked against the floor as I moved through the house. Lauren and Julia were waiting, and they had me do a quick pirouette for them. I look good, don't I? I asked, my voice sultry and confident, perfectly matching my appearance. Lauren smiled. You do look great. Like we said yesterday, you're going to have a fantastic time this weekend. Why don't you and Julia head out, and we'll meet up later? Julia and I set off, hitting the grocery store and liquor store to pick up everything we needed for the party. Julia looked great, too, so everywhere we went, guys were definitely noticing us. After a few hours, we headed back to Lauren's place, unloaded the car, and found the cleaning service had already been there. We quickly put everything away and got started on setting up for the party. We rearranged furniture, set up the food and drinks, and created a makeshift bar area. We used a helium tank to fill balloons, releasing them up to the ceiling. Black and orange streamers were hung, and fake jack-o'-lanterns and monster heads were scattered around. By 5 o'clock, we were done, and we were all exhausted. We collapsed on the couch, admiring our work. This was going to be one awesome party. After we caught our breath, we worked out who would get ready first. Vicky, since we need to help you with your hair, makeup, and getting dressed, you'll go last. Lauren's going to get ready first, then me. Lauren went off to get ready, and Julia and I finished preparing the food and drinks. After a while, Julia headed off to get ready, and I finished the last touches. Finally, it was my turn. Lauren met me in the hallway and told me to follow the same steps I had in the morning. I headed into the bathroom, about to start the shower when I noticed the bath salts on the counter. I thought, why not? I poured some into the tub, and soon the scent of lilacs filled the air. I stepped in and enjoyed a relaxing soak, feeling the warmth and softness against my skin after all the work we had done earlier. I must have dozed off because the next thing I knew, Lauren was knocking on the door, asking if I was okay. I called out to let her in, and she saw me soaking in the tub, the bubbles covering me just enough to maintain my modesty. She smiled and reminded me to hurry up. I drained the tub, rinsed off quickly, dried off, and headed to Lauren's room. Lauren and Julia were already there, having finished their makeup and working on their hair. They had me sit at the vanity to get started. "You'll be doing the same as this morning," Lauren said. "But the colors will be richer and more dramatic. First, blow dry your hair, because we need to put in the hot rollers." I worked on my hair, and just as it was drying, they stopped me. They began putting rollers in with some gel. "Leave them in while you do your makeup," Julia instructed. I got to work on my makeup, applying foundation, powder, blush, eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, lip liner, and lipstick just like the morning before. Lauren and Julia kept encouraging me to layer on more makeup, creating a much bolder, dramatic look. I was curious to see what my costume would be once everything was done. Once the makeup was finished, it was time for my hair. They removed the pins and curlers, and my hair tumbled into ringlets. Julia and Lauren began brushing it into what felt like a chaotic yet purposeful style, and then they used a ton of pins to secure it. Soon, I had a mass of curls piled high at the back of my head, some falling gracefully toward my neck, and my bangs brushed forward toward my eyebrows. Lauren smiled and said, "Time to get you dressed. Step into this." She was holding up a black corset that looked very constricting. I stepped into it, and the three of us carefully worked it up my torso. We took a few minutes to ensure my chest was properly positioned in the cups before starting to lace it up. As Lauren and Julia pulled on the laces, I could feel my midsection compressing as the corset tightened around me. Just as I thought I couldn't take it anymore, they announced, "All done," and tied the laces off. I looked in the mirror and marveled at how my figure had taken on the classic hourglass shape. My waist was narrower than ever, my hips seemed to flare out more, and my chest was even more pronounced than before. Julia handed me a pair of stockings. "Put these on like you did with your pantyhose yesterday. Be careful not to snag them with your nails, and make sure the seams stay straight in the back. Once they're up to your thighs, you'll attach them to the garters on the bottom of your corset." I rolled up the black fishnet stockings and slid them over my toes, unrolling them as I worked them up my thigh. When they were fully on, I checked the seams to ensure they were straight and smoothed out any wrinkles. I attached the garters securely, then repeated the process with the other leg. Next, I pulled on the panties that Julia handed me, pulling them over my stockings and garters up to my hips. As I walked over to the mirror, I could feel the stockings and garters pulling as I moved. The tightness of the corset, combined with the stockings, made me move slightly differently, more delicately, than usual. Lauren handed me a showbox. "Here are your shoes. Go ahead and put them on." I carefully unwrapped the shoes from the tissue paper and slipped my stocking-clad feet into the pumps. The 3.5-inch heels felt natural as I fastened the T-strap across my instep. Once both shoes were on, I walked around the room to get used to the fit. "Have a seat," Julia said, motioning to the edge of the bed. I sat, and the two of them began to work on my hair, attaching a headband with a feather. The feather stood upright, curling slightly back. They also placed a slender velvet choker around my neck and clipped on dangling earrings. "Now for the dress. Stand up," Lauren instructed. I stood, and they brought a dress from the closet. I stepped into it, and they pulled it up my body. I slid my arms into the sleeves, and they zipped me up. Turning to the mirror, I got my first look at my transformation. The woman staring back at me was an alluring saloon girl. A black feather stuck out from my hair, curving toward the mass of ringlets piled atop my head. My face looked striking, with dark, expressive eyes, a smooth complexion, and full, sensually red lips. The dress, with 2-inch straps, plunged into a frilly V-neckline, revealing my cleavage. The bodice, striped in maroon and green, cinched my waist and ended just below my shoulder blades in the back. The skirt was black, and the slit running from my knee to mid-thigh was trimmed with lace, showing off my long, shapely legs. As I twirled, the tops of my stockings were barely covered, and the slit revealed my high-heeled feet. Lauren and Julia came up beside me, wrapping their arms around my waist and giving my skirt a playful swish. "You look fantastic. We're so glad we picked this costume for you. You just need one more thing," Lauren said, handing me a pair of gloves. "Put these on, and we'll meet you in the living room." I walked to the living room, the fabric of my skirt rustling as my hips swayed seductively with each step. I could feel my curls bouncing and my chest moving as I walked. I paused in the living room, slipping on the black satin gloves that reached past my elbows, which accentuated my slender arms. I struck a pose, feeling like a classic saloon girl. Just then, Lauren and Julia entered. Julia was wearing a tight-fitting catsuit made of lycra spandex that hugged her curves perfectly. Her long black fingernails and feline-inspired makeup accentuated her eyes, making her look even more cat-like. She wore cat ears and a tail that swayed with every movement, completing the look with black heels. Lauren was dressed as a Playboy bunny. Her red strapless bodysuit hugged her figure and had high-cut leg openings. She wore black stockings, red high-heeled pumps, and the signature bunny accessories: a tail, ears, black bow tie, white collar, and white cuffs. The three of us looked stunning in our costumes, and I was sure we'd have the guys fighting for our attention tonight. Soon the guests started arriving and the party was underway. I was introduced to everyone as Lauren's friend Vicky and got a lot of attention from the guys in attendance. One good-looking fellow named Keith, dressed as a cowboy, kind of latched on to me the whole night. We talked a lot, and I spun a story of how I had just broken up with a longtime boyfriend recently and wasn't ready to move on quite yet. I hoped that would make him keep his distance. He asked me to dance, and soon we were out on the patio moving to the music. My skirts were swirling as my hips gyrated to the music, and my body swayed to the rhythms. The music slowed and I did not object as he pulled me closer to dance. I felt his hand at my waist and his breathing on my neck as moved in a circle to the music. We were so close that I could even feel his member getting hard as we danced. I was having quite an influence on him. As the song ended, we stepped apart. He looked deep in my eyes and then he brought his lips close to mine. I closed my eyes and I was soon rewarded with the feel of his kiss. I felt my lipstick rub off on his lips as I returned the gesture. We shifted our heads a little and continued to lock lips. After a few moments, I pushed him gently away. "Keith, we've got to stop. It's not that I don't like you or want to be with you, it's just that I'm still getting over my last boyfriend. I don't want to rush anything and ruin it for the both of us. Please understand that." I reached up with my satin-gloved hand and stroked his cheek with my finger. "Vicky, I didn't mean to scare you or rush you. It just seemed that the moment, the mood, and the music was right. I had this tremendous desire to kiss you. I've enjoyed our conversation this evening and I like you too. I hope someday we can go out and spend some time together, but we can do it when you're ready." I leaned over and gave him a kiss on the cheek. "Thank you, Keith. I really appreciate that. Maybe someday we can do that. For now, let's go back in the house and rejoin the party." We went back inside and I headed towards the bathroom to refresh my lipstick. I saw Lauren and pulled her into the guest room. As I closed the door, I told her what had happened with Keith. "You go, girl. Keith is a hot one. He's also pretty nice, so he'll respect your desires about keeping it slow. You're handling everything well, so just enjoy the party." We went back to the living room and I sat on the couch next to Keith. There were no objections from me when he put his arm around my shoulder and pulled me close to him. As I leaned up next to him and rested my head against his shoulder, I caught him glancing appreciatively at my long legs clad in the fishnet stockings. We spent most of the rest of the evening that way, talking and getting to know each other. At about 2 a.m., most everyone had headed for home. Keith lingered a bit as we said our goodbyes. I took him by the hand and led him to the kitchen. "Keith, I've enjoyed the time we spent together tonight. You seem like a really great guy. I'm just not ready to move on yet, and I'm very grateful that you will respect my wishes. I need a favor from you now. I'm not trying to change the rules, but I need a little help getting out of this outfit. Would you mind unzipping my dress a couple of inches so I can take it off? Also, if you could untie the bow on the corset and loosen the laces a little, that would be great." I stood there while Keith went to work. I wanted to see how far he would go and if he would respect me. I felt his hands find the zipper and then he gently pulled it down a few inches, exposing the corset. I felt the bow and laces loosen as he tugged at them gently. "There you go," he said in a husky voice as he finished. I turned around and held my dress up tight against my chests. I didn't want it falling down and exposing them to him just yet. I looked up at him and slipped my right hand behind his neck and pulled his face towards mine. I closed my eyes as our lips met and kissed. My lips parted and my tongue forced its way between his lips. He responded in kind and was soon exploring my mouth with his tongue. He pulled me closer to him and I could really feel his member stiffen as continued our kiss. I separated away from and hugged him. "Thank you for your help. You are such a great guy. If you ever want to go out, give Lauren a call, she'll know how to get in touch with me. Bye-bye." I turned and walked to the guest room, closing the door behind me. I sat on the bed and put my head in my hands. What had I done? Why did I enjoy it so much? I was a straight guy and shouldn't feel like this. But what I did felt right for Vicky. I spotted another box on the bed with my sleepwear for the night. I removed my costume and let my hair down before opening the box. I pulled the black panties, with matching trim, up over my legs until they settled on my hips. I then rolled up the negligee and dropped it over my head. The spaghetti straps caught the garment at my shoulders, holding it just above my ankles. The neckline dipped into a deep V, but it was looser than the one I had worn the night before. As I glanced in the mirror, I noticed the 2 strings on either side of the V, near my chest. I tugged at them and discovered they were laces, running all the way down to the top of my panties. I tightened the laces, drawing the negligee snug around my torso. Once I tied the strings into a bow right at the point of the V, the garment fit perfectly, accentuating my waist and cleavage. I slipped on the marabou feathered mules I had worn the night before and noticed the gown had slits on both sides, reaching up to the middle of my thighs. I then pulled the long-sleeve robe from the box, tied it around my waist, and let it flow with the negligee as I turned on my 4-inch heels and made my way to find Lauren and Julia. They were sitting on the couch in the living room, everyone else having already left. I poured myself a glass of wine and joined them. I kicked off my slippers, sat down, and curled my legs up underneath me, letting my negligee and robe swirl as I settled in. "Well, Lauren," I said, "you throw quite a party." Lauren smiled. "I try to make sure everyone has a good time. And it seemed to me one of my guests was having a particularly good time. Wouldn't you agree, Julia?" Julia teased. "I wonder who that couple from the Old West was in the backyard earlier, doing the old tonsil tango. The same couple where the girl was doing a little zip tease with a cowpoke before he left." I shrugged, smiling. "Look, girls, I just reacted to the moment like anyone else would. And about the unzipping, I needed some help getting out of the costume. Besides, he was a perfect gentleman." Lauren raised an eyebrow. "You reacted just like any woman would. You're really getting into your role as Vicky, Jim, and you're enjoying it. This experience is going to have quite an effect on you." Julia joined in. "If I didn't know better, I'd say you would have taken him to bed in a heartbeat. I saw the look on your face when you cuddled up with him on the couch. You really like him, Vicky really likes him. I sat back, sipping my wine, and thought about their words. Was it Jim who reacted, or was it Vicky? Was Vicky a part of Jim, or was she her own person, with desires and motivations of her own? I let the thoughts swirl around as I sipped my wine, eventually drifting off to sleep on the couch. The next morning, I woke up stretched out on the living room couch, a light blanket covering me. I reached my arms out, blinking my eyes open to the warm mid-morning sunlight. Lauren was sipping her coffee, and I could hear the shower running in the back of the house. Good morning, Vicky. How did you sleep? Not too bad, I guess. I was pretty exhausted after everything we've done over the last 2 days, so I slept soundly. Pretty is the key word when you think about what I wore to bed last night. Are you enjoying your time as Vicky? Well, Lauren, I said, I was really unsure about this whole thing at the beginning, but as the weekend has gone on, I've become more and more comfortable. The things I'm doing and the way I'm acting feel so natural now, almost like second nature. And because it's getting easier, I don't have to worry so much about what I'm doing, which means I can actually enjoy the way I'm acting and how others are treating me. Lauren smiled. That's good to hear. We wouldn't want you doing anything you're not comfortable with. This morning, the 3 of us are going out for a nice Sunday brunch, and then we'll come back and tidy up a bit. Later, we need to get ready for the party tonight. You're going to love the costume we've picked out for you. Please, give me a hint. What is it? I'd love to know. I asked eagerly. Just then, Julia walked in. Nope, it's a surprise. You'll have to wait until tonight. But why don't you get ready for brunch? Your clothes are on the bed. Do your hair and makeup like you did yesterday morning, and while you're in the shower, be sure to shave any stubble on your legs, arms, and chest. Don't forget your underarms, too. Following the instructions, I got off the couch and made my way to the bathroom, my negligee and robe swirling around me as I moved. I showered, shaved, and did my hair and makeup as instructed. When I finished, I dressed in my clothes for the day. Today's outfit was similar to yesterday's, white panties and bra, followed by a short-sleeved white cotton blouse. Buttoning it on the opposite side was a little tricky, but I managed. I pulled on a faded blue denim skirt that ended a few inches above my knees and zipped it up. I slipped on yesterday's sandals and put on the same jewelry from the day before. Grabbing my purse, I headed into the living room, where Julia and Lauren were also dressed casually. We left for the restaurant. We walked in like 3 old friends and waited for our table. The football games were on the TVs above the bar, and since we all enjoyed the sport, we took the opportunity to watch some of the game. Eventually, we were seated and enjoyed a leisurely brunch. The waiter seemed to pay extra attention to us, making it clear we were getting special treatment compared to the other tables. After brunch, we headed back to Lauren's place to clean up after the party. Thankfully, everyone had pitched in a little, so there wasn't too much left to do. By 3 p.m., we were done and sitting on the back patio, enjoying diet sodas and soaking up the sun. We chatted about the events of the weekend and my experiences as Vicky, talking about men, clothes, makeup, dating, and relationships like we were 3 sisters. I tried to steer the conversation toward my costume for the night, but they kept it a secret. Well, wait a minute. There is something you can know, Lauren said, standing up. She went into the house and returned with cotton, nail polish remover, and several bottles of nail polish. You need to change your polish for tonight, Lauren explained. The red you have on won't match your costume. This color should do the trick. She tossed me a bottle of purple polish and told me to get to work. I began removing the red polish from my fingers and toes, carefully wiping away the color. Once the remover dried, I applied the first of 3 coats of purple polish. I was a bit awkward trying to avoid using the balls of my feet as Julia asked for some cotton. I didn't want it to fall out between my toes. We relaxed and sipped our sodas as our nails dried in the afternoon breeze. Soon, it was time to get ready for the evening party. We each headed our separate ways, and I began bathing and washing my hair. I checked my face for beard growth, there was none, and then joined Julia and Lauren in Lauren's room. For tonight's makeup, Vicky, Julia said, you'll want to go a bit more exotic than last night. We'll guide you as you go along, and you can use some different shades. With Julia's instructions in mind, I started my makeup for the night. I applied the foundation and powder just like before, with no changes there. Then, I applied a slightly darker shade of blush and brushed it on a bit heavier than usual. I moved on to my eyes, using richer shades of purple and plum. The makeup was applied more heavily than last night, with the eyeliner drawn out further along my eyelids to give them a more feline look. The mascara was applied thicker, giving my eyes a bold, almost Middle Eastern appearance. I applied the purple lip liner and lipstick, matching my nail polish perfectly. After outlining my lips, I filled them in with the rich, waxy color. When I took a closer look in the mirror, I realized I had achieved a sultry, exotic look for the night. Next, I focused on my hair. It was mostly dry when Lauren and Julia instructed me to leave it slightly damp. I worked some gel into it, then pulled it back into a ponytail, which I knotted high at the back of my head. The ponytail cascaded down to my shoulder blades. I used the curling iron to curl both my ponytail and my bangs, rolling them over my eyebrows. The result was a stark contrast, my seductive facial makeup paired with a youthful, playful hairstyle. I glanced at Lauren and Julia, curious about how it all came together. Lauren, seemingly reading my mind, said, "Don't worry, Vicky, it'll all make sense when you're dressed. Here, put this on." She handed me the first part of my costume. I unfolded the 2 pieces of pink material. The panties, part of a 2-piece bathing suit, were high cut at the leg openings and offered modest coverage of my rear. I slid them on and then reached for the matching strapless bra. I wrapped it around my chest, fastened it, and adjusted it to settle comfortably. "I hope this isn't all," I said, feeling a bit exposed. "Oh, don't worry," Lauren replied. "You're getting more." She handed me a piece of light fabric, which I unfolded to reveal a pair of pants. The waistband was deep purple with sequins and faux jewels decorating it. The legs were made from gold, diaphanous material, flowy and non-form-fitting. The cuffs had Velcro to make them easier to slip on or off. I detached the Velcro tabs and stepped into the pants, feeling the soft, airy fabric brush against my calves and thighs as I pulled them up. I settled the waistband at the right spot and adjusted the Velcro so they fit snugly just above my ankles. Lauren then handed me a showbox, and I revealed the metallic gold sandals inside. The straps crisscrossed just above my toes. I slipped my feet in, adjusting my toes comfortably into place, and settled my heels onto the 5-inch stiletto heels. I fastened the ankle straps securely and did the same for the other foot. Standing up, I adjusted to the height, taking smaller steps and distributing my weight carefully to balance in the heels. I could feel the pants rustling against my skin as I moved, and my chest bounced slightly under the tight bra. Lauren and Julia gave me approving nods. "You look incredible. Just a few more details, and you'll be all set." They helped me sit down to finish my hair. They pinned a small purple fez-like hat to my ponytail and added heavier gold, jeweled earrings that matched my outfit. They placed a matching necklace around my neck. Then, they handed me a wispy jacket. It was more of a vest, made of purple fabric decorated with jewels and sequins. Little purple fringe hung from the bottom. I slipped it on, and realized it didn't button, nor did it extend beyond the bottom of my bra. My stomach was left exposed, completing the Harim girl look. A few final touches were added, bracelets for both wrists, rings for each hand, and a piece of gold fabric was pinned to one side of my hat and brought across my face, covering my nose and mouth, leaving only my eyes exposed. While Julia was finishing that, I was startled by a cool sensation on my midsection. I looked down to find Lauren placing a jewel in my navel. "Don't worry, Vicky," Lauren said. "It's the same stuff we used for your chest. It'll stay in place without any issues." That was reassuring. I stood in front of the mirror and admired the Harim girl staring back at me. She was shapely, with long, graceful legs, and the costume was stunning. She would definitely make an impression at the party tonight, even if, beneath it all, she was still a guy. I turned to watch Lauren and Julia finish getting dressed. Lauren had me zip her into her electric blue flapper costume, complete with a sequined headband and black satin gloves. The fringe shimmered as she moved around the room in her 4-inch black pumps, and I noticed the tops of her stockings when she tucked a flask into the garter on her leg. Julia was adjusting her maid's outfit, the apron strings tied neatly. The black satin dress hugged her chest and waist perfectly. I was sure she was wearing a corset. Her skirt flared out with a white petticoat underneath, and her long legs were wrapped in black stockings, finished off with matching satin pumps. The white apron and cap completed her look. We all looked amazing. After a quick once-over, we each adjusted something here or there. We were 3 stunning women about to head out on Halloween night, and we were sure to turn heads and drive the men wild. We rushed out the door as the taxi pulled up. We weren't about to try and park at this party. As we climbed into the back seat, Lauren's neighbors gave us a few wolf whistles. We headed toward downtown, where 4 blocks were blocked off for the party. You could only get in with a ticket, and you had to be over 21. Various local businesses provided food and drinks, and the admission went toward the entertainment. There was also a costume contest with prizes for best individual, couple, group, scariest, most humorous, and most original. We got out of the cab and walked a block to the entrance. I pulled my ticket out of my purse, a gold lame one to match my costume, and handed it to the security officer. He did a double take, glancing between Vicky and Jim's ID, then back to Vicky. I leaned in and whispered in my normal voice, "Yes, that's me. I'm a guy. Pretty good costume, right?" He nodded, laughed, and waved us in, wishing us a pleasant evening. The party was absolute chaos. People in every kind of costume imaginable were everywhere: monsters, cowboys, aliens, politicians, and even a few without costumes at all. There were also men dressed as women, some campy and others just guys in dresses. Many tried to look like women without committing to a full costume. I didn't look too hard, but I didn't see any man dressed as a woman who looked as good as I did. We navigated through the crowd, getting pinched on the rear a few times and feeling hands on our chests. Men were coming over, trying to pick us up, but we brushed them off and made our way to the stage area, where we joined the crowd for a dance. The DJ was playing great music, and the crowd was loving it. Lauren, Julia, and I drew a lot of attention, even from some women who tried to hit on us. Eventually, the music slowed and the MC announced the winners of the costume contest. The judges had been circulating all evening, taking notes as they mingled with the partygoers. They started by announcing the scariest, most humorous, and most original costumes, and those winners were escorted to the stage. Then, the MC called out, and the winner for best costume is the Harim girl. At that moment, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around to see a woman wearing a judge badge, motioning for me to come to the stage, with the security guard who had checked my ID earlier behind her. I hesitated for a moment, and Julia and Lauren gave me a gentle push toward the stage. I made my way up the steps to the center of the stage. The applause was less enthusiastic than for the other winners, but I assumed a Harim girl wasn't that special. As we stood at the center, the MC whispered, "We know you're a guy, so when we ask for your name, use your male voice and give us a guy's name. It doesn't have to be your real name, just a guy's name." I nodded as we reached the center of the stage. I stood there, taking in the crowd. My nervousness was evident, with my heavy breathing causing my chest to rise and fall as I stood on stage. The crowd greeted me with catcalls and wolf whistles, making my heart race. The Max congratulated me and handed me an envelope containing the $1,000 prize. "Now, my dear, I'm sure everyone is dying to know who you are. I can see the guys out there are ready to call directory assistants to get your number. Please, tell us your name." More wolf whistles followed as I hesitated, microphone in hand. Clearing my throat, I said in my usual deep male voice, "My name is Bill Watson." A hush fell over the crowd, followed by a wave of cheers and applause. Some of the men in the audience began giving their friends grief for falling for a guy. I heard shouts of "way to go" and "you look great" as the crowd reacted to my revelation. I struck a few playful poses, sticking out my chest and behind, and the applause grew louder. I waved to the crowd as I made my way back to Lauren and Julia. As I navigated through the crowd, hands were extended toward me, and people patted me on the back. I heard comments like, "You look amazing," and "give me a call," mixed with a few playful jabs. About 10 people, both men and women, tugged at me, complimenting me and slipping pieces of paper with their phone numbers into my hands. I was relieved to finally make my way back to my friends. They both embraced me, congratulating me on winning. They were curious about the Bill Watson name, and I explained what the Max had told me when I went on stage. We tried to chat, but with the music starting up again and the noise of the crowd, we couldn't hear ourselves think. We exchanged a look, grabbed each other's hands, and pushed through the crowd toward the entrance. We hailed a cab to head back to Lauren's. We rushed up Lauren's driveway, laughing and giggling as we went. We nearly tumbled into the house, collapsing on the living room floor, still catching our breath. After a moment, I spoke up. "You know, I'm about to leave, and I think I'm going to miss Vicky," I said. Lauren looked at me thoughtfully. "Are you sure about that? It's not like you can't bring her back. You've got a small wardrobe and know what to do. It's more about whether you want to." Julia chimed in. "You've had a lot of experiences over the last few days. You lived as a woman, saw what it's like on this side, and enjoyed the attention you received. I think you've got a lot to think about." I couldn't disagree with them. I just nodded, lost in thought as these ideas swirled in my mind. I headed to the guest room to change into what I had worn earlier for the drive home. I slipped off the Harim pants and vest, removed the purple fez, and changed into the white blouse, tying it in a knot just below my chest, and paired it with the blue denim skirt. I decided to keep on the strappy sandals from my Harim outfit. I checked my hair and makeup in the mirror, loosening my ponytail and brushing my long black hair into a more natural style. I swapped some of the evening's jewelry for the more casual pieces I had worn earlier. Once I had everything packed, I headed out to say goodbye to Lauren and Julia. I gave them each a warm hug. "You two have really done a great job with me, and I can't thank you enough for everything. I've got a lot to think about, and I hope I can turn to you for advice when I need it." Lauren took my hands in hers, her eyes welling with tears. "You know you can always turn to us. We're so happy we could help you this weekend." Julia grinned at me and said, "We're always happy to help. We're glad you had a great time." I walked out the front door, got into my car, and started the engine. I adjusted the seatbelt between my chest and turned to look at them one last time. I waved goodbye with my long fingernails, put the car in gear, and slowly drove out of the neighborhood. I hadn't driven in 5-inch heels before, so I took a moment to adjust the angle of my feet, but soon I was on my way. As I headed home, a flood of thoughts filled my mind. These past few days had been a significant step in discovering more about myself. I had explored things I never imagined doing and found enjoyment in things I never expected. I wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was certain. Vicky would always play some role in my life, whether large or small.